Hey everyone, if you want to support the podcast, please like, rate, review, subscribe, do all that stuff, and don't be lazy, dude. Fucking hit the like button, Jesus Christ, and leave a quick review to say dope, whatever. It gives the podcast a little more traction, and I appreciate that. Um, this week is part two of the podcast that started with Greg and Daniel talking about our favorite hardcore 7 inches. This week we are going to do part two, which is the 90s and also the first decade of the 2000s, whatever the fuck you call that. And yeah, so these two episodes have been a little different than anything else we've done. Let me know if you like this stuff or if you think it's sorry. And if you like it, we'll do some more of it. And if you think it's sorry, then I'll not do it again. This is, it's for the people, man. So let me know what you like and what you don't like, and that's all. And now let's jump on into that episode, part two of the greatest hardcore 7 inches ever.
I dove on her, and then she immediately grabbed me, and then I think her dude kind of like tried to start pulling me down. It was just like, watch where you're fucking diving, motherfucker. Like, he said that to me, and then I rolled back on stage and just like front flipped right back into him. Like,
good. I mean, back in the day, in the early 90s, stage diving was, I guess, frowned upon.
Yeah, I was listening to that podcast. I was like, you guys are lame.
It was just, it was a really different world.
I know.
It's hard to explain. But, well, I mean, we'll get to the 90s. We can discuss that right now.
All right, 1990 to 1999, 7-inch only. Who wants to go first?
Well, since you guys just both shit on on Gorilla Biscuits, I am going to come out the gates firing with this would have been my number one, and it was, you remember when I said I was cheating?
Mm-hmm.
Unbroken and Fall on Proverb and Circa 77, 7 inches.
You know you bred me some other time, some other place, but the words never hit. Quite this hard, now you're looking at me.
Okay, is this counting as one or is this
Counting
two?
as one. It was so I could get everything in there.
Okay, and now give me the lineage. These are the two 7 inches that come out after Life, Love, Regret.
Yes. And Fall on Proverb, actually, I believe it comes out while they're touring Life, Love, Regret. And it was recorded with, what's his name from Battery? Ken Olden, in DC. And, oh my god, it's fucking raw. And the songs are amazing. The layout that Justin did, well, I've got a funny story about that too. And then the Circa 77 7-inch came out basically as the farewell, after Unbroken had called it quits, and then the record came out. And I don't know, there's only 4 songs out of the 2 7-inches.
Well, tell the story about the layout so we don't forget.
Okay. So I had just moved to America, and I was just started that band Swindle with, my friends in PB. Mm-hmm. And we were at the PB Kinko's doing a flyer for a Swindle show at like Cafe Mesopotamia or something. And Justin Pearson was there doing the layout for this 7-inch. And I was like, oh, I like Unbroken. That's fucking cool. Like, and he, we had mohawks and all kinds of stuff. And he just looks at me like, who the fuck are you? Ugh. And then he goes, do you guys watch a lot of MTV? And we're like, no. And he goes, because it looks like you do.
Yes.
And I was like,
well, you're only punk if you play saxophone in the park, dude.
yeah.
but the thing is, later on in life, we've become good friends, and he has apologized for that. But at the time, I was like, the fucking audacity of someone. Like, I was giving you a compliment and interested in the record you're putting out, and you just flamed us. Like, wow. But the 7 inches, I mean, they are holy grail for me. Like, friends with members of the band and stuff, but even you know it, and San Diego being a big part of why you kind of love the band and whatnot. But take all of that away from it, if I just heard those songs, I would be like, these are some of the best hardcore songs ever written.
And they're a little bit of a right turn coming out of Life, Love, Regret as well.
The pace.
They take, more of a mid-tempo rock and roll.
They go, well, the and Fall on Proverb songs are straight ahead, fast punk, but through drop D tuning, like, so they're really raw, aggressive. The way it's recorded is raw, like, I think it was an 8-track, possibly, is what that 7 inch is recorded on, and it just sounds so fucking good. And then the other 7 inch that you're referring to is a bit more like rock, almost rock and roll, or Rocket from the Crypt being somewhat of an influence, but it's still being so hard, like
totally.
Oh
yeah, that's
they end the career on the Big Mosh.
yeah.
I mean, is this
A Big Mosh that didn't sell out his friends?
Is this on either of your 90s lists?
It is not, and
Nope.
I can tell you why. Because when I was diving into hardcore and just eating up everything 80s, the first time I started listening to 90s hardcore, I was like, what the fuck? Because I was like, okay, everything's slow
Yeah.
now, and then there's like this weird, like, kind of quiety, whispery thing going on in parts. And I remember the first time I heard Unbroken, and like, sorry Rob, like, I just did not like it. It just wasn't me. I was like, I want.
Well, what was your first dabbling?
In
What did you
90s?
listen to the first?
Okay, well,
of Unbroken.
I want to say
it Life,
that.
Love, Regret,
No, I
or
want
was
to
it
say
the
the Circa 77 thing. And I thought the song was cool. I'm like gonna catch like so much flack when I fucking go into Heartwork, not knowing was the
Absentee Debate is the
Mosh song.
I'm so glad you're here. Okay.
It's the one that goes.
Yeah, I was like,
And this is probably echoing your sentiment. I don't care.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, this is cool, but I guess I don't care.
But
No,
growing up, like, in Chula, wasn't that like said to you almost as like, this is something you should love?
People were like, yo, listen to this, like, you have to listen to it, and I was having a hard time with just 90s hardcore in general, because I was like, where's the fast stuff?
Yeah. Well, the DNA of how I perceive you, like, 1980 is like in your, or 1980s is in your soul, seems.
That's my thing. Now, like,
That record, it just didn't sound enough like that DRI record, man.
yeah, no.
Back to
No, but here's the thing, like, now, like, I can come back and listen to it, and, like, dude, Razor is a fucking, that's just a fuck, that riff is literally a fucking razor.
Yeah, well, when we come back for the LPs,
Yeah, so it's just like, this is like sacrilege to San Diego shit, but it's just a band that I've, like, never really given the time of day to. And it's also, too, where it's like, I feel like you kind of just, whatever, nowadays you can find out about anything and, like, really dive into something, but I feel like I just, like, missed that. So.
Yeah, and I know how it is when, I mean, like, for example, a couple of the things that we've talked about in the 80s that, no, you're supposed to like this. And, I'm told, like, United Blood better be your fucking favorite record, or you're not a real hardcore kid, and it doesn't grab me as much as when my appreciation of, or when my deep dive coming out of being like a punk kid and being completely overtaken by hardcore is while this is happening.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It is my DNA.
Yeah, it's gonna be, you were right there in the mix with all this stuff. So I'm listening to these records after hearing, like, I don't know, Judge, New York Crew, or diving into that kind of stuff. And then you hear this, people are like, you should like this, you should like this. I'm like, I'm just not feeling it. You know? I mean, when I heard like Firestorm for the first time, I was like, this sucks. There's a hot take for you, baby. I was like, this.
You're gonna hate my number 2 pick.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Look, like here's the thing for me, and this is just stupid. This is a millennial ass opinion right now. Like, I love Destroy the Machines. Like, that thing is so well put together, and like there's such a.
Are we allowed to flip the table on the?
Flip it. But when I heard like Firestorm for the first time, dude, I was like not impressed.
Have you listened to the? Well, let's not get off the Unbroken thing first. Have you listened to the And Fall on Proverb 7-inch?
No.
The 3-1G 7-inch.
Nope.
After this, when you have a chance, listen to those 2 songs and tell me what you think when we see each other next time. Because I really do think you'll like those so much more than you like the Circa 77. Like they'll appeal to your like what you like more. Yeah. I feel they're the fastest, most raw Unbroken songs.
All right, hit with one of yours, Greg.
For my 90s, let me pull up my notes here.
I mean, also tell us what you said about the 90s. You were like, I was lost, just not being able to pick things out. Almost.
It's a crazy decade for hardcore. I think like there's a lot of different shit going on, like lots of different styles.
And
like,
I think if we acknowledge that, like just as a conversation in general, that the 90s, the hugeness of hardcore fell away. Like, there were no more Palace shows in LA that were bringing in 3,000 people or whatever.
No, it should drop off.
So you found your enclaves in the 90s, and you were able to separate hardcore into a strand-based like genre, whereas someone from this sect of hardcore was really, I mean, it was the 90s and we all had to go to all the shows because that's what was going on. But you identified with one sect more than anything else, and even though you would go to, I don't know, a Black Train Jack show or something because you were like, well, there's a show on tonight, I'm going to go. You could pick and choose what was in your record collection a lot more than in the 80s, or the things that made it out of the 80s for our generations of going, oh my God, this is essential, this is essential, this is essential. The 90s, it's more like taste-based essentials.
Definitely. If I had to pick I would rate this like number 1 because I think it's just such a juggernaut. Is the Burn self-titled 7-inch?
We should all have it, right?
I don't.
Oh, okay. I have it.
Yeah, I mean, just as a guitar dude, like Gavin's.
Dude, from the fucking first drum fill.
Yeah.
If your fucking asshole doesn't clinch a little bit when that kicks in, like, this music is not for you.
Straight up.
I mean, you shall be jugged.
Yo, and then even like Out of Time, where the last part is like,
yeah,
like just putting that kind of style, and then you get
it's an attention to detail that's like unheard of.
Well, their influence runs deep, even if it's not acknowledged by the people that were influenced by them. Do you know what I mean? Like, someone may not realize that like this sound is kind of ground zero is the Judge. I mean, is the Burn record. I mean, from anyone from Bane to.
But Bane was very.
No, Bane was very upfront. Like,
they were upfront.
Burn. Yeah. But I'm saying like from Bane to God, what's the band from Long Island that I'm thinking of? The Mini Dreads. VOD. Yeah. Things like that, like they would never have existed without that. Do you know what I mean? Without that kind of technicality on guitar.
Yeah, there's like there's this noodly vibe. There's like jazz chords being thrown in, and then you're just getting some of
And
the
effects,
most
like an effects pedal.
Yeah,
like masses of pedals.
You're getting just like absolute dance floor.
But Snapcase, would Snapcase exist without it?
Yeah,
No.
like you get these just parts that are.
Oh, so now Burn's not perfect anymore.
No, I think from start to finish, Godhead, Out of Time, just hearing it, Chaka's delivery on everything, dude, just busting into like the spoken word, kind of just free flowing.
This is
it's just,
this very well maybe my favorite piece of hardcore music there is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that good. I mean, to start off with "Shall Be Judged," just a fucking banger, and is sonically so aggressive but so full sounding. And I mean, Chaka's vocals are insane. I'm on board with like the message, you know, it's kind of a.
And I mean, this is going back to it, like, you know, if you didn't see them, almost how cool and how like ill it was amplifies in your brain because you didn't see them at the time, and it just, you know, I think I was 1 year late, like, and I don't know if they came out here or not.
I never saw them until like 2 or 3 years ago.
That's what I'm talking about. But that's a different thing.
California, and then even another.
But fanzine pictures, I'm just like, Chaka
like,
looks fucking hard and cool, and you know, like, I don't know, and it's also just, even back then, I was just always thinking like how fucking rad it is to see people of color in hardcore bands, like to continue on a, you know, trajectory, especially coming more so just East Coast bands, because it was more of a legendary, like, weird thing, because you don't have the peers at the shows that are a little bit older than you telling you about, oh man, when they came through, or blah blah blah, because they were a mystery thing to those guys as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and even I think it might have came out in the early 2000s, and I don't know when it was recorded, but it was called Last Great Sea. That's another just.
It got recorded right around the
same time,
right?
The
early 90s, and I don't know why it took so long to get re-released. It got re-released like in 2002, something like that, but it was a 90s recording.
On EVR,
those songs
right? It got re-released on EVR.
No, it's a 3-song on Rev.
On Rev.
I love that 70s.
Numerality is on it. Yamashita.
So much of this podcast is just us mouthing riffs, and then the Last Great Sea
and
riff,
me doing them terrible.
Just crazy.
Yeah, that's it. But sonically, it doesn't stand up to the self-titled. The self-titled one sounds wild.
Yeah,
that one's a little more thin.
Yeah, the production on the little muddy in some cases. And what was the last thing I was gonna say?
The self-titled Burn is a perfect record. And they nail it with a good slow song too. Well, it's got everything.
It also, I mean, I was joking about the "shall be jugged," like the misspelling on the original pressing, but it, you know, that ghosts on the front cover, and it's mysterious, it's cool, it's hard, it's everything, you know, it's taking where Rev was with the youth crew, and then it's adding like some level of musicianship and some level of
it's the right amount of sizzle.
Yeah.
Well,
and then you have all those bands that you were talking about that got influenced by them, other than Bane, and they only took the sizzle. And they didn't keep the fucking balls of the good hardcore shit.
That's what I was gonna say. And this is gonna sound, I'm gonna sound stupid by saying this, but like when things get artsy, a lot of the bands and a lot of like the singers in the band they're so up in their own ass, you know, and then they just kind of just like forget about hardcore, or they kind of look at you like, oh, you want to mosh, like you want to do that,
well,
like, you want aggression.
That
like,
was
that's so passe. Like how, like, you know, and like when you hear that Burn 7-inch, like there's a lot of thought. Like deep, like it's got everything, but like you said, it just has that aggression, it has that punch. It still makes it hardcore.
Well, it's the first pathway into post-hardcore.
Yeah, I don't get any
Do you know
like
what I mean?
pretentious vibes when I listen to that 7-inch where I'm like being excluded from it, or like
it's a natural progression, and this will lead us on to another pick that I have, which that's the East Coast version, and then the West Coast version, that's the new kind of newer path, is the Inside Out 7-inch, and that's one of my
number
picks.
2.
And you know, I mean, Victor Cara came from beyond out to the West, but did this record with the best musicians, like playing hardcore, the most intense vocalist.
Yo, I love the feedback on that record. There's just these weird like crazy sounds.
Let me tell you, there's a guy named Kevin who's around, and he used to do the program Skate Shop. He's like an old skateboard journalist dude, and has done skate companies and stuff. He's quite strange. Shout
out to Program Skate Shop though for just letting all ages hardcore shows happen in their business.
Never. I said program. I didn't mean program. Now program is so in my head when it's referring to.
Oh, okay.
I mean Overload.
Okay, we'll still shout out to Program.
Yeah, shout out to Program. Overload in
shout out
San
to Max
Diego.
Woodco for that Retaliate Take Offense show last year.
Yep. But so this guy's weird, right? And this is when one of the first few years I was living in North Park back in either like 98, 97, 98.
How much was
then.
rent for a studio apartment back then?
I wasn't even at a studio. I had a 2-bedroom, 2-bath for it was me and Sam from the setup, and we shared that place, and it was $520 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Fuck me.
Around that time. Now I can only imagine.
And milk was a nickel.
Yeah, but this guy Kevin, I saw him on the street over by Claire de Lune, and I'm like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Oh, you live over there?" And he proceeded to walk past me, go all the way into my house, walk right into my bedroom, pull out the Inside Out 7-inch, put it on, listen to side A, listen to side B, and then left. And I was like, that was really fucking weird, but respect. You know, like that was so strange. But you know, if you're gonna do it for a certain record, like respect, because it's not, you know,
what needed to be said other than just.
Yeah, I was just like, all right, see you later. But I mean, side A and side B, like the first song and the last, I just can't even.
There's no dud. There's not a dud.
There's not a dud, but there's also. I mean, just listen to those
bass lines. Bass
like
lines.
Yeah. Like, I just wonder if I never thought about Inside Out kind of being like the West Coast burn, but I like that you put it that way, because I wonder if both those bands stretch it about as far as I can take. Like, my palette is very straightforward hardcore, and they are on the outer boundaries of what I like, or at least like what my favorite shit is. And I think that's a really interesting way to put it.
Well, I think what they benefit from, and you know what defines them, is that they were following all these bands that had just done really great things, and they had to go just they do something a little bit different, but still be anchored in the genre, and that's where it really develops. You know,
when you're
an emotion was allowed in the 90s. Emotion was up front in hardcore, not aggression, like opening your soul. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, when you're roasting a marshmallow, it's the best, like right before it falls off the stick. You gotta get it right on the fire and be patient, right? And you want it right before it falls off the stick. And I wonder if that's what Burning Inside Out are. Because like everyone right after, like they just took it a little too far, ran a little too close to the sun, and fucking fell off the stick into the fucking dirt.
And they added 3 more guitar pedals to the array, and yeah, I can see that, you know. And do you have anything else to add about Inside Out? Because they're your number 2, you know.
Oh yeah.
Were they on your list, Zach?
No.
No, I think
the 90s are the hardest for me.
Yeah.
There's like a million honorable mentions because some of the stuff that I thought was the 80s actually stretched to the 90s, and then a lot of stuff that I thought was early 2000s was in the 90s, and so it was like, oh, this is fucked.
Yeah.
So they didn't make it. Neither did I love the Second Chain of Strength 7-inch. It didn't make it. I love the Bulldoze 7-inch. It didn't make it. It was like
nothing but a beatdown.
That was probably number 6 because you talk about another record that started a style. It was like a blueprint band. Like no one had moshes that slow.
One of Daniel's favorite styles of hardcore.
the beatdown. Well, man, that stuff is like a lot of that slow mosh stuff is so big now, and like
it's not so big. It is like
the thing.
The majority of hardcore right now is that.
I mean, trace it directly back to that Bulldoze 7-inch because no one else would do a breakdown that just goes dun 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 dun.
You think you're hard, you and your crew. Now it's time to see if you're true. So show some respect.
I mean, it's Neanderthal at its.
But it's so entertaining and like
No,
like that CD, the final Beatdown CD,
That
which
has-
is their
has the
whole,
comp,
which is
right?
everything.
Yeah.
It's got it's like a demo, the 7-inch, and then the what is it like the East Coast hardest
Assault.
or whatever,
New
New York's hardest
yeah.
2 songs or whatever they're on, dude. When we used to tour, like you would think like, oh, you start getting tired, like put on Raining Blood, right? But it's like you've listened to that fast music so much of your life that it's like I can go to sleep to death metal. You know what I mean? But like the thing that would keep me up is putting on that fucking Bulldoze record and headbanging to it.
Do you think I can't see the influence of Bulldoze in IC breaks? I mean, it is pretty upfront with some of the In Control, especially like.
Hey, that song, "The Truth."
Oh yeah.
too,
I don't care about your feelings. I don't care. I made you cry. I don't care. I wasn't there for you in your trying time.
Hey,
This is a lot. This is a lot of coverage for an
Hey,
honorable mention.
I saw Kev one mosh in New Jersey during Trapped Under Ice, and I was just like, dude, you could just see a man literally cause ripple effects of like rows. Of
Well,
human
when
beings.
OMDB played our very first show in New Jersey, the other bands, it was a big fest. We were there with Bane, and God Below was playing as well, and Stickman was moshing to them. Holy shit!
Hey, how wimpy do you feel when you're on like the East Coast and you just play like a dojo fest, and then you go up there with like your fucking standard tuning and your fast parts, and like you just witnessed like,
And then you say, "Yo, let's get a circle pit going."
yeah, and they're just like, fuck you, which
That's your own fault telling people what to do at a punk show.
grown
No,
respect.
I'm joking about the circle pit thing, but especially my band compared to yours. I mean, we had some real poppy parts that were just looked at like, what the? But it was almost like we went, like the poppier songs are the ones that hit with those people because they're like, oh yeah, that's kind of like Bouncing Souls.
Yeah,
And we're like, no, it's not.
Jumps in there. All right.
Anyways,
Those are the
Inside
honorable
Out.
mentions. Those we just did Zach's honorable mentions. And
Well, because the 90s are hard.
Yeah, they are.
The 90s are hard.
All right, let's get. Are you done with Inside Out?
I'm done with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so another Blueprint band, and again, the LP is better, but Hatebreed Under the Knife,
I have that on
1996. Do you have it?
Absolutely.
Okay, if you want to talk about a before and after band, it's Hatebreed, Satisfaction, Death of Desire. Literally,
LPing it.
I know. But this is the blueprint for the LP, and that record is so important. Literally, I feel like before that LP came out, hardcore was like, the songs were written with like a build-up intention. And it was like more about a sing-along. And after that record, every single hardcore song since has had a breakdown in it. Unless it's like a gimmick song. Like, here's the fast one where we don't do a breakdown because it's a gimmick, because it's the fast song, guys. You know?
It's pretty much when you're writing songs. But everyone talks with each other. Too.
Yeah, but like literally, like it's like every song after that record has a breakdown. And it wasn't like that before, because even the bands that were heavier and faster, like, you look at a Strife, you know, they're 2 LPs. They're not based around breakdowns. They're based around sing-alongs.
Sing-along band, 100%.
You know? And, like, that...
They're a youth crew that is played by kids who grew up on metal. Strife, kind of, you know?
Yeah. So, anyway, Hatebreed Under the Knife is sick.
That Chula show that was Hatebreed, it was my old band Palpatine, Hatebreed and Trial in a garage in Chula. I was like, oh shit, this, you know, this band at the time, I was like, this is fucking tough guy shit. Yeah. Like, but almost just like, yeah, like you say, a blueprint was forming. Like,
yeah, because they were doing these like minute 20 songs that are like, fast part, breakdown, done. And like they only did that formula on this 7-inch and then the LP.
But it's also rooted in hardcore that we just discussed, but run through their filter. It wasn't like a lot of the metallic hardcore that, you know, that I probably will discuss in a moment.
No, it's if you miss if you mix straight ahead and obituary, you get that.
That's kind of that's
you know,
that's a good.
And it's like perfect, and no one could ever do it again, including them.
Under the Knife, like I have like a theory. If you just like take the song Filth, where it's just like blast.
Yeah.
Like if you just cut all like the drop, like the heavy pit parts, and you just cut all the fast parts of the song, because also the way Under the Knife is recorded, like if you just cut all the fast songs and put them all together, fast parts of the songs, like that shit sounds like crossed out.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like super dirty, like a power violence recording.
Yeah.
Like
and
you
also
could show it to some kid with a butt flap and they'd be like, oh, this is sick.
Right.
Like,
yeah. And also for, you know, the 90s, you got to give a shout out.
When you drag the knuckles and add the breakdown, then the kids who are like, oh, this is sick, are like, ah.
Hey, I have seen people get converted after listening to a Hatebreed thing because it's executed so fucking well.
Yeah. I was going to shout out to the piccolo snare, because that's another like
That's
90s
trope.
90s thing that
Unbroken also.
Yeah.
Integrity.
The first
also.
E-Town record.
Yep.
Another one that we'd get on the LP, but well, I don't know. The E-Town Fuck the World 7-inch. I forgot about that one.
I just turned my headphones to the side just to represent E-Town.
I gotta see what year the Fuck the World came out. That might have to jump in. But yeah, Hatebreed Under the Knife. Fuck. They played Ventura Theater this one time, and it was a rare show with no barrier, and like there was a bunch of Nazis there, and it was
shocker.
It was Hatebreed, Poison the Well, and it might have been the Bane. I think it was Bane guys, because I remember them like seeing a couple of them like laughing when I was stage diving, because like it's pretty hilarious. But it's fucking Hatebreed, and they were playing songs off Under the Knife.
Yeah,
you know. Anyway. There was like this.
Well, they would do shows as being called Under the Knife when they were jumping on a show or doing something
this was their tour.
On a more DIY level.
This was their tour, and so anyway, like all the like, there's Nazi and security fight, and it's like during Poison the Well, and who gives a shit? Like we were watching them anyway, you know. And
you were out back getting your hair dyed.
Nah, there's no ins and outs, but anyway, so everyone sketchy gets kicked out, and then it's just like, oh, this is fucking amazing, like. We get to watch Hatebreed. There's 300 fucking people here, you know, or 500 or some shit, and like no barrier at Ventura Theater. And so, like, of course I'm gonna stage dive. It was like one of the greatest shows I was ever at.
This
in
is
my
definitely
life.
pre-Monster Energy drink sponsored Hatebreed. You're witnessing at this show, or were they?
That might have been. I can't remember because they did the first LP and then they toured off it for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I only saw them. I saw them at the showcase like right after the record came out, and then I saw them at the Ventura Theater show, and I don't know when that would have been. If it was Poison the Well, it had to be like 2002.
They toured off Satisfaction for a million years, but half the tours they did on that were like metal. They were playing with
and there was like the festivals
and
stuff.
opening a lot of metal shows and stuff.
No, it's great, and dude, the more people that hear that record, the better. I mean, that's one of the greatest pieces of music ever. So, anyway, that's Hatebreed, Under the Knife.
That's 3 of my 5 are now.
3 or 5 are done. You want to shout out another one, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm gonna do another cheap beat. Earth Crisis, All Out War, and Firestorm. That would be my number 2 for the 90s, like sneaking both of them in there. The Firestorm 7-inch, it is absolutely game-changing, and I'm telling you, as a young straight-edge kid, I don't think my backbone has ever been straighter and filled with more pride than the way that band can like weaponize your, feelings towards society on a straight edge level. I don't know. I'm not wording this correct enough, but the 2 7-inches are like unbelievably different sounding, yet are 100% the same band.
Did you see they did that press? It's the LP with one on each side?
Yeah, I was just listening to that in the build-up to this. Because...
Brilliant idea.
The great thing about All Out War is it's so 90s. The fact like there's like these screamy parts, and there's the like they're all off time. Yeah. Everyone doing the backups are all coming in. Almost like it's like people rushing through and ripping at you and like singing along.
It has a wildness to it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it starts with that like very, almost like pretty guitar, and then dive bombs all over the place. But the lyrics to No Allegiance, as someone who is straight edge, it is the fucking hardest fuck you to all sellouts song of all time.
No, Earth Crisis is definitely a game changer, for sure. And I've had, being in Syracuse enough, and then having good shows in Syracuse, and then shout outs to Reaper Records, which they were based out of Syracuse, and shout outs to Guav 315, who has done a lot of like TO design work, and just talking about Syracuse in general. I mean, like just looking at their flyers, looking at the shows that they used to do, and then seeing just old videos of just Syracuse just setting it off. I mean, it definitely all with that band like leading the charge.
Oh yeah, and
is definitely it's a total game changer.
I really don't think, and this may be naive, but I really don't think it is. I don't think veganism would be where it is across America without that band. Straight up.
And we're talking just veganism in general.
In general, I'm talking about it seeping into other cultures, coming out of this culture, and it just running so deep. I mean, they're the
Well, what was pushing veganism through young people in the 90s other than Earth Crisis?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure some other vegans
or even
correct me on that one.
Even people being vegan in spite of Earth Crisis. A lot of people, because the 90s, the one thing that you can guarantee is that, pre-internet, it was all one giant game of telephone. So you heard one rumor about Earth Crisis, and then it amplified to the next person who spoke about it, and then it amplified to the next person. Like, they would come to town and, like, if you had cheese on your sandwich, they'd fucking smash you or something. But then you see them and you're like, these are all skinny little, guys. But you still, I was in awe of them at the California Takeover and the shows that they would play in San Diego. I was just like, Don and I would go into Jamba Juice and put our name in as a Carl Crisis because we were like, oh yeah, this is so healthy. It's just like Earth Crisis. But the All Out War 7-inch, every single song on it is fantastic. In the build up to this, I was reading the essay about the use of the word fetus in the thing, which is ridiculous. Even to this day.
You're definitely not going to... If you're a hardcore band nowadays, you better not be writing the word fetus in any of your releases.
I don't understand.
So they had a song that was about animal rights or about unnecessary death, okay. I suppose. Like, don't use animals for laboratories, don't use animals for food, blah, blah, blah. And they had a line, which wasn't even written by Carl from Earth Crisis, was written by this guy Shane Dungy, but they had a line in it that goes, for the fetus, for the rat, I'm butchering the line right now, but basically fetus was in there as like almost saying don't use abortion as a form of birth control.
People thought they were flirting with
pro-life. Yeah, which hardline was pro-life, so they were on the line, and so they had to have an essay in the lyrics about it, and even the essay is dumb. Like, it's not dumb, it's saying their viewpoint, but I think it's dumb to suggest,
It's gotta step up your pull-out game.
Yes.
Shout out to pull-out.
But then you move from that 7-inch, which is a lot more organic, and you were saying, like, looking at those shows in Syracuse and looking back with the beauty of the internet now, we can look back and look at those, and like the Ben Reed era of Earth Crisis, guy's fucking, he's the first person to do the raise the guitar over your head, play it, and dive into the crowd and all of that. Pretty just unbelievable. And then you go to Firestorm, and the songs on that 7-inch, the way that Firestorm goes into Forged in the Flames, and then on the other side, you've got what may be the most perfect, like, lyrical song, Unseen Holocaust, which is about the way that Manifest Destiny and white people butchered America, and
it's the best fucking song.
Yeah, and then they use it as an allegory to talk about the way things are happening in the Amazon, and that, like, the tribes are being wiped out there, and holy shit.
No, it's loaded.
Yeah, and then just going back to the Edge again, I don't think a 1-2 punch has ever hit harder than Firestorm into Forged in the Flames. And give me that really big fat marker right now. I'm gonna put those X's that have like just 2 tiny little V's of skin showing.
How big are your jeans in this scenario too?
They're big. You could fit. I could smuggle a tribe out of the Amazon in my jeans.
Yeah, but it's also 93 in right 93-ish. And unrelated to hardcore, jeans are big.
Yeah. And small wheels, big jeans in skateboarding,
Yeah, this kind of just goes back to my whole 90s hardcore thing when I was like I obviously it's no surprise. Like, I just love the decade of the 80s as far as being a guitar player goes. Like, the shit that made me want to play guitar is the Transformers movie soundtrack. Like, hearing those songs. So already, like, I love, like, screeching, Stan Bush, screeching guitars.
Good record.
And then just your 80s hardcore, like, it's definitely got more, like, upbeat. Not necessarily upbeat. Like, there's plenty of, like, hard stuff, and it's fast. Like, I like the energy, like, speed of it. But then when I hear, like, when I first, like, start jumping into 90s hardcore, I'm like, whoa, everything It's super loaded, like message orientated. And when I was like young, you know, I'm in like high school and I'm listening to this stuff for the first time. Like I have a way better appreciation for it now. But when I first start just diving fucking headfirst into hardcore, and you're just like trying to listen to everything, like everyone's telling you, listen to Unbroken, listen to Stalag 13, like, which is a fucking jump right there, you know. And then
that's what you should do.
Which is what you should do. But I was just gravitating, and also being part of the scene in Chula Vista, where it's just like you have people that are not fucking straight edge at all, but they're your friends, you know, and you're all in it together, and it's just like kind of like a bigger community thing. So some of his stuff seemed like really exclusive, a little too proovies, as they used to say, and I don't know, it kind of like rubbed me off the wrong way.
If
that makes any bit of sense.
No, it does. I mean, you almost want to be conscious, especially when you know, have many friends who aren't straight edge, be conscious of like their feelings, and maybe that will stop the full appreciation for how blatantly straight edge and almost like line drawn in the sand style lyrics these kind of things are. But to me, it's always, I mean, I'm going to be straight edge forever, and I love getting these feelings of empowerment from songs that just, it's almost like, you know, the first 3 cups of coffee in the morning where I'm like, rah!
Yeah, 100%.
And these songs mean that to me, but I know how divisive this band is still looked at over history.
Which is weird, because, and for some reason though, when I heard like Destroy the Machines, like I liked it because there's like a lot of variety in it. Like you're hearing it, like you definitely tell that these dudes were listening to like Chaos AD era, like Sepultura shit, like a lot of like early 90s death metal kind of stuff, and back to just being guitar player nerd shit. When I was hearing that and like the beats, like a lot of groove, a lot of interesting like musicianship, like I still like, I fucking love that record. And also too, Discipline off of Destroy the Machines, was like yeah, it's like there's
so self-liberation.
hopefully at the end of the podcast
Can we move on to the Floor Punch 7-inch?
I've got it on mine.
Which is a great way to segue into
Yeah,
Floor Punch.
because it's the change. It's the seat. It's the reclamation from this. Yeah, I mean, Earth Crisis are the figurehead of this kind of metallic hardcore of the 90s for a reason. Because A, they did it best. They put on amazing shows, and they were steadfast in. I mean, that's the best thing you can ever say about. Not the best thing, but one thing that is amazing about a vegan straight edge band, that you can look at them 30 years later and say they're all still vegan straight edge. Like,
that's awesome.
No, huge props to that. Huge props.
But then, yeah, this is on my list. Floor Punch Division 1 champs.
That's right.
Are
they the best of this genre? That comeback mid 90s, late 90s.
97.
Straight edge.
Let's
hardcore.
call it. I mean, 97 to me has. I mean, it's burned in my mind as a year because you had your Floor Punch, you had your Rain on the Parade, you had your In My Eyes, you had your 10-Yard Fight, you had all of these bands that were coming back and being like, yeah, I mean, we've all had fun going to these shows, but we want to bring Revelation back.
This is 96 though, so this is before any of those bands started fucking with LPs.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, but I'm saying this sea of change.
Yes.
There's one band that you consider through the 90s that kept this kind of sound that we're about to discuss going, but they really didn't if you listen to them, because there really was Mouthpiece. They did it in look, but not in sound.
Well, because they have the worst drummer on earth.
Well...
There's hot takes galore in this podcast.
But you know what I'm saying. Like the Youth Crew vibe was
I never understood that, how people would be like, Mouthpiece sounds like Chain of Strength. And it's like,
No,
really?
don't.
Because Chris Bratton is the greatest drummer ever. And
Yeah.
And I don't know what's happening here on your record, dude.
I think it's the drum sound from Saint Anger before it happened. But, I mean, no disrespect to Mouthpiece. Like, I like the Dag Nasty sounding 7-inch way
The last
better
one.
than I like,
Yeah.
than I like any of the other stuff. But anyway, back to Floor Punch. The samples on the 7-inch, the way it looked, the look. I mean, Floor Punch came out right when Hardware Fanzine came out, right when, Rain on the Parade Body Bag.
Yes.
Like, all of these things were just basically saying, fuck you to metal, and...
It was the backlash to the Earth Crisis stuff.
Yeah.
And the Victory Records sound.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we like all of it.
Yeah.
I like all of it, but this is something.
Is the Floor Punch 7-inch on yours?
It's not on my 7-inch. None of the Youth Crew Revival stuff is kind of on my list. But I will say though that Floor Punch definitely, I think, has aged. Out of all those bands, they have aged the best. And
they're catchy.
Yeah, those songs are just like, they're just written for just like absolute crowd participation. Like,
but they're mean.
They're mean too.
Yeah.
Like
They're really mean.
Yeah, like it's just that perfect balance where it's like it's fast.
Well, if you talk to those guys back then, it was like they didn't like a lot of the contemporary stuff, even the contemporary comeback stuff. It was like all they wanted to do is listen to Straight Ahead and a breakdown demo.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
But Floor Punch sounds like it's very rev heavy too.
Sure.
But there's a huge New York, like late 80s demo, New York hardcore demo influence.
There's a little bit more of like the Igno in it, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's not super
I'm saying
well thought
they
out.
take their vibe more from what these bands that they're talking about, like Cro-Mags, they take their vibe from that. But they also say, we're fucking straight edge. And then on top of it, they channel sounding like, Chain as well as sounding like Breakdown. They mold those styles really well.
I like the Tender Fight 7-inch a lot too. It didn't make my
Yeah,
list.
it didn't make mine either, but at the time I absolutely loved it. And I don't know if it just dropped off.
It's good.
bit.
I listened to it like probably 2 weeks ago, and I still like it.
I think
But-
maybe just the fact that it's songs about football.
Well,
as an allegory.
it's a little more football heavy on the demo. Although Straight Edge
what's
Brothers
it?
in the Pit
Pit of
together.
Equality.
Pit of Equality is
Equality.
the fucking sickest song.
And that's why, like, when I was in high school, like if someone was like, who's better, 10-Yard Fight or Earth Crisis, I would have been like, oh, 10-Yard Fight. Like, instantly, like, I would have said that without any hesitation,
Yeah. I mean, not to me, but I loved both bands. Like,
I love both. How about what's your favorite of the Euro straight edge comeback bands?
Probably Sportswear.
The first 7-inch.
Yeah.
I love both. Both 7-inches.
Probably Sportswear. But,
Keep it together.
But I mean, Eyeball was sick.
But It Runs Deep is sick too. And
Yeah.
then
and 59 Times the Pain on the Sick of It All style.
okay.
But
yeah, that Eyeball, that 7-inch, that song Talking Straight. Woo! That's fucking
because
crazy.
that's one thing the Euros would do so well is like when you can only study something in its examples and not necessarily be participating in it, you're really gonna craft the best bootleg of it, you know, and really like live it. But I mean, down to the sneaker, down, when you're living your life based on liner notes and fanzine pictures.
Oh yeah, they're
like
you're studying.
Yeah,
the Keep It Together. That's another like almost would have made my list. And I love the Main Strike LP. Maybe that'll make my list for the 90s.
I can segue into a 90s Euro 7-inch.
It's on your list?
It's on my list.
Okay.
And it's just right at the end, 99. It's going to be True Blue, The Ice.
What's that up before my eyes? It's a massive road of a race, standing in the
thought we were on 2000 when I said Justice.
Yeah.
My bad.
The main. Another thing, shout out. I'm biased. Because
that's another
Patrick Kitzel from Reaper.
Well, it's a tie-in. It's on the same record label as all the bands I was just talking about.
Yeah, and
it's on Crucial Response.
Age of Quarrel Worship.
But just for them to be doing that style at the time, and it's bringing back what I call like ice riffs. Just that kind of. Like, first of all, the production on that 7-inch is so fucking killer. It's got this, like, weird reverse piano, like, swell that kicks in. You look at the artwork, it's like a vampire dude on the cover.
I don't even know if I realized that was a 7-inch. I thought it was a CD. Because I think I just had it as a CD.
And
it's got a really cool layout. It's got really nice paper.
And that goes back to what you were saying as far as, like, if you're a European hardcore dude, I mean, those guys are, like, analyzing and studying and listening to all these things. So just for a band to bring back this kind of, like, late 80s, early 90s sounding New York hardcore vibe where it's like you got a lot of Bad Brains, like we're talking like later Bad Brains, not like early 80s
Black Dots.
Yeah, we're talking like Quickness era style shit. So to take something like the grooves and the stomps from that and like Cro-Mag style riffs, and we're talking like later, like Best Wishes era Cro-Mags, not necessarily Age of Quarrel stuff, and just to kind of like package that together, like that's why I just gotta give it on my number 5, like, and it still sounds like really crisp and clear. Production, I think, is great.
Mean. Yeah, going back to the floor point. I mean,
mean.
Kitzel is the most straight up person ever. 100%. If he doesn't like you, he's not going to be nice to you. If he likes you, he's going to be nice to you. And it comes across in those songs. It's like, fuck you. Even though he did Spawn and whatnot, that was very metallic based, it was kind of like the groundswell of the backlash against metal was like, okay, let's tap into the real DNA of what DNA name drop. No, the real DNA of what brought us here for the first place.
Yeah, and even on that True Blue 7-inch, like those dudes could fucking play. Like you're hearing like little guitar leads being thrown in there now, like little runs being thrown in there.
These are things that you notice a lot more than I do because you're a player.
Probably being in the 90s, maybe that would have been like unspoken to do. Like, hey, maybe you should throw in like a quick little type lead in a hardcore song. So yeah, I think, and maybe wasn't appreciated at the time, but then picked up. And from my generation, like later on, as like an influential piece of wax.
It's a really great layout as well.
Yeah, it's just so that's why it's on my 5, and I think I got one more.
Do your last one.
My last one, and I think I don't know if it's on yours, but it's District 9 School of Hard Knocks.
Got 2 faces and they both lie. Then you ask what can you qualify? But yo, that shit is true. The smile in your face, so what the fuck you gonna do? It's just me and you, kid, so what you gonna do with my night?
It's another one. It's another bubble one.
94, and once again, you probably... definitely a regional band. But then if you watch the New York hardcore documentary and they're interviewing these dudes,
they're legendary because of that.
Yeah, and then you see
Payback. The time is now.
fat.
Everyone knows it, right?
Yeah,
you done some shit to me that I just can't allow. Cause now I know you're full of shit. I also know that you're a fucking hypocrite. You got 2 faces and they both lie. Then you ask, why can't you qualify to join the crew? But yo, that shit is through. Because now I'm in your face, so what the fuck you gonna do?
Yo, Payback is all fat.
Hey, but even that, like, just musically adventurous, like dudes could play, so much flavor back in there. Has not been replicated. Ever, because you have to just be those types of dudes.
You have to be like
you have to be importing, exporting venomous animals to get that bass sound. You have to.
It's just like you have to be the right type of psycho with the right type of like gift, and then the right time to be surrounded in an environment that you can like thrive.
What makes District 9 probably so District 9 more than anything is just the way he describes. I mean, for the majority, most of them, I think the entire band is like PR dudes. Maybe, I don't want to, but I think so. But they're also growing up liking what their contemporaries are like. Oh, you liking that white boy shit? Like, fuck that. And then they're, counterculture within their own culture. That story he talks about the Hail Satan jacket, and his mom's like, he sees some homeless dude wearing it later. Like, everything about it, like, it formulates why that band has such a groove. Do you know what I mean? But they're definitely not on my top 5.
But it was very close to my top 5, and because
it's a perfect slap of
dude,
wax.
they
Perfect.
like it's easy to like laugh it off when you are familiar with that documentary, but they really do put attention to detail, like how we were talking about with like the Burn 7-inch. Like, they're gonna go that extra little way to like do the little extra sizzle on the song, and then lyrically, the guy's fucking brilliant.
Puerto Rican Mike. Back to your PR dude's comment, like, and even the song "Think About It" about just like suicide, and just like
Beyond Red Tape,
crafting, like, you hear
he's telling
songs,
a story,
especially Beyond Red Tape, where it's like, what about his mother? Like, just these super like detailed, like you vision them in your head, and it's just tight playing, like. You're playing fat, like, especially Payback, and then you're just like, you're going fast as hell to just a complete seamless
jazz outro.
And that's the thing, transitions, like, when you, and back to my whole thing, like, when you're playing fast and you're able to transition, like, from like drop of a dime, like, boom, now you're in like a different tempo and you make it work, and then you're gonna have a dude pretty much rap, but not be like when you hear it, it doesn't sound dated or cringy.
Just me and you, kids. So what you gonna do when my non-double ember straight down on you? Cause I
ridiculous.
It's the kind of thing that you would think is ridiculous, but the groove, the fact that it is a very different hardcore scene to what we have experienced,
because
allows
no one
it to
is pretending.
Exactly.
No one is trying to be something that they're not in that band.
It's so infectious and so catchy and so raw and real.
But that's why those records, and we can touch on LPs and stuff like at another time, but why those things that would be so pathetic if someone around here was saying something like that is the authenticity. Is it adds 25% to the song's quality just because it's real. The same when you can look through a rap song of someone who's a pretender and someone who is real. Like, you could have the best crafted song in the world, but if it's a lie, it means nothing.
Is the 90s maybe the last decade of just actual regional sounds?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, post.
Well, yeah, it would be the last. I mean, everything would change with high-speed internet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Outburst record was not liked on this coast until the internet.
I understand.
Really, I mean, there are people who liked it, of course, but I'm saying it in general.
Yeah, you had to be in the know, complete. You're digging, writing letters to people, which to me is like, whoa.
Madball dropped many suckers, 1992.
The recording just can't have it on the list for me.
You're fucking crazy because the first side is the start of Set It Off. It's like the song is switching.
Is on that one, right?
Yeah, Crossface, Never Had It.
But just
the No Longer You Wear the Crown.
The recording and the way he's in between a vocal style on that record.
Their band is in between a sound right there.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're coming out of
Ball of Destruction.
Yes. And like taking on more of like the Killing Time sound.
Yeah.
And they're on their way. they're 2 years away from making the greatest hardcore album of all time. You know, and like there it is. It's like,
Yeah, you want to
dude,
talk about a blueprint?
I'm
album.
listening to like the demo of the Apex,
Yep.
so it's making my top 5.
Yeah, I'm just, to me, as someone who loves that band as well, it's the least visited,
Yeah,
official release.
And Ball of Destruction definitely overshadows it because of the, kind of like the novelty factor of it's like, oh, it's young Freddie and Roger's playing bass. It's just an AF side project.
And the way it goes from song to song to song to song,
Yeah.
like,
it sequences perfectly.
but that being said, like when we talk about 7 inches and the LP just comes out and does a fabulous moolah off the top rope onto it, Set It Off just destroys this.
Still 6 songs of great Madball in '92. That's like insane, and it's not
Now the
it's not a
artwork
side
is
project
amazing.
anymore. Yes, it's hard as fuck.
The artwork is amazing. Everything about it. I mean, I have it. I love it. I just, if I'm gonna reach for a record, it's not gonna be the one, and it is because, like you say, or like we just kind of agreed on, it is the formulation of something, and it's not quite there yet. So something in it sticks with me a little bit to be like, it's not there yet.
Yeah.
Did Don Fury have a hand in that and dropping many suckers?
You'd have to go to Discogs for that information.
The linear notes, because I mean he definitely. They brought him into Normandy sound to do Set It Off, so it's like you get that mix of like that raw, like you have that ridiculous production values of Normandy sound, and then you get the Don Fury. It's like a good mesh, which they got it right, because if you like being able to do a tour with them on the Set It Off anniversary would top
Hashtag bragging,
hashtag name dropping like a motherfucker right now, but being able to pick Matt Henderson's brain and him being also one of just the fucking coolest human beings ever, top 5 hardcore guitar player, absolutely,
definitely.
Oh, number 1 songwriter.
Yeah, and just for him to, because I would ask him like, okay, AF, you do one voice, right?
Yeah.
And which is, I hold that one dear to my heart, absolutely. But then it doesn't seem to like break through, and then he just tells me like, yeah, like I sat down. Okay, I'm looking at line arrows. Okay, they did it, Don Fury. So for him to be like, and one voice doesn't really go anywhere, and then he's just like, we just kind of like, let's strip it all down and let's just, in his words, like, just make it Neanderthal, you know? And not even like palm muting on it, like down, bow, down. You're just like, he's just hitting the string.
Yes.
And it's just like, whoa, but just so rhythmic.
Yeah.
And just, So I absolutely get why it's on your top 5 7 inches.
Yeah. All right. Daniel, how many more you got? You're tapped? I'm
tapped.
Daniel, you got another?
Yeah, I've got one more, and I don't know which to go with.
Okay, well, I'm cheating also.
Okay.
I had to go Ignite because they were such an important band for me in the 90s, and I couldn't decide where to go because, again, they're like an LP band.
Yeah, Call 'Em
My Brothers is my favorite, but the Where They Talk 7-inch with the...
original singer?
No, it's the second singer.
Joe Nelson?
No, Joe Nelson was the first singer. Randy?
Oh, Randy, yeah.
He played bass for Against the Wall.
Yes.
And then sang the second one for Ignite, but it has that song.
Oh, he sang at Gilman. He did the Uniform Choice cover with GB and fucking destroyed it.
Is there an original member in Ignite now?
Bass player.
Just the bass player. Okay.
Yeah, but Zoli was in very early. No, that's the drummer.
No.
Casey Jones is the drummer.
Who's the bass player then?
Brett something?
Oh, Brett, yeah. And Joe from Unity was the guitar player.
Yeah. And Casey Jones is like the drummer of what Dan O'Mahony's band, right?
No, for
fucking just kind of good at history over here and kind of fucking pathetic. But no, Ignite Where They Talk, it's very like, I don't know. It's got one of the greatest hardcore songs on it ever. I would do for you this time. I swear I would do for you. Whatever. Yeah. I love it. And then also they did the In My Time 7-inch. And that has some of the songs from Call My Brothers on it. In my time, I've been a lot of ways.
I just want to give a shout out to a Hungarian boy named János right about now.
He was confined to a wheelchair. Yeah, but that's on a 12-inch EP again.
Yes.
Was that the... Okay, because we...
Past Our Means.
Past Our Means.
Yeah, we did that tour with them, and then he would always bring up some story. Did that kid like OD?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh no, that's another.
That's another. This one is like he does a breathy spoken word intro, like a Hungarian boy named János. He had no.
Nah, he does it on the breakdown. He tells the story on the breakdown.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He goes. He had no control over his limbs. It was basically the kids.
It's a motivational story. The kid's like fucked up in a wheelchair. Fine, yeah. Whatever, dude. Anyway, I fucking love
disrespect to János.
I love Ignite and dude, Yano's a hard motherfucker. He'd come and punch you in the dick.
I'm hearing nothing but disrespect. Just pouring through that microphone. There's not even like a filter on that microphone, so we're just getting absolute disrespect.
It's just dirtying up my fucking
Hungarian
gear.
Boy. Shame.
He's not young anymore if he was getting shouted out on a record in 96.
Hey, is this some UK Hungarian thing?
No, it's more when Ignite got... Basically, when Zoli went on to sing for Pennywise and the Misfits, it was a point...
Jack of all trades? Right there,
it was a point of when we would talk about Ignite, it was just a funny... It's a very 90s thing, that part. Do you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't happen now. So when you think about that, it's nothing to do with necessarily János. It's more the way that it's delivered that it makes me laugh. I'm sorry.
Zoli, if you're listening to this, please hit me up about doing those songs for D. Snyder.
If you're listening to this, Zoli, put on your Phantom of the Opera Misfits makeup and then kick my ass because you definitely can kick my ass.
He has an amazing set of pipes.
Like, without a doubt.
You hear them sound check.
Dude, this is one of the
Calling My Brothers.
Amazing set of pipes.
This is one of the greatest bands I ever saw in my life. Yeah. With that lineup.
Oh, they were dialed in.
I mean, you wouldn't have seen them, Greg. Like when they had.
I thought you were just referring to them
when it was like Casey Jones on drums and Brett on bass and Jodie Foster on guitar, and they were a 4-piece hardcore band. And then you have like Zoli with the fucking pipes. It's just like you're watching like the modern good Uniform 90s choice. Version of Uniform Choice, and it's like it's ridiculous. Whatever. There's no way to describe it because it doesn't make fucking sense anymore. If you talk about another band that like hung around, and I actually enjoy all the new stuff, but it's like there's no real connection between what Ignite was in like 96, 97 to what they are now.
Yeah. Even OMDB played with them in like 2002 at the El Rey. And at that point, I think they'd, in our like hardcore estimation, had kind of jumped the shark a bit, and kids from the Bay Area came down in droves to see Ignite. And I was like, what's wrong with you guys? But then Ignite played, and I was like, this still sounds sick.
Live. You were able to put aside how you felt about the Hungarian boy.
No, I was able to put aside how cheesy I thought they were.
Oh, okay.
Because they still, there's people that operate within hardcore that when you see that they treat it unbelievably professional, it kind of sours you on it a bit, where you think in a DIY world when it's all about guest lists and writers and things like that. But if you're
Zack.
I've never done it as a I've never done it as where I want to live off a band,
When Ignite
and I probably wouldn't be allowed to.
were late 90s Ignite, were they already hitting Europe a lot at that point?
Oh yeah, I mean, Ignite probably hit Europe before they had anything out.
Yeah.
Like, because they were actually like one of the bands that was on Lost and Found and not being bootlegged. So like,
Yeah.
this In My Time 7-inch. I think that where they talk, it probably got released by one of the guys in the band, because it's like it's one of those little
The one with the
towns.
match on the cover, or is that the first one?
That's In My Time.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it
Wait.
100% makes sense why, and you brought it up, like the level of professionalism that you're seeing when you're seeing them come back from Europe. Because when they're going over there, especially with a lot of like your top hardcore bands that hit Europe, I mean, they might as well be like, it's like watching like a regional radio rock act. Like they're in buses, there's a production, there's a crew behind it. And they went over there, you know, as this like, oh yeah, we're just like this Orange County hardcore band, right? And then you're going over there and like, oh shit, look at the clubs we were playing. Like, oh, there's a bunch of people that are here to see us, you know? Oh, okay, hey, we need to like dial in and sound check. Oh, now we're used to playing. Now you kind of have to put on an act. Not necessarily an act, but it's like you got to put on a show. So before you know it, like you're just kind of slowly transitioning into that band. And then I find it hard, like it's there are bands that can hit Europe a bunch and come back to the States and turn that off and be like, all right, we're back in the States. Like there's no fucking, you're in a band. There's no writer. There's no fucking guest list here. I mean, there's a guest list, but it's not like as extravagant. And you're playing fucking Soda Bar on a weekday. You're able to turn off, like, you're not playing in front of like 2,000 plus Europeans. Mm-hmm. So it kind of makes sense where it's like, it's instantly going to turn you off if you're like, you're jocking the Floor Punch 7-inch that comes out and you go see Ignite play and they're like maybe making people do like claps in unison. You're probably like, what the fuck is this? Like,
yeah, their set list
I see both
isn't written
worlds,
down because they've already done it for 12 weeks across Europe.
Dialed
you know what
in,
I mean?
baby.
But they also play an hour and a half, and you're like,
Yeah.
that doesn't fucking.
What's your last one? Let's kill the 90s.
Okay, so I'm
so about
debating
the 90s.
between the two.